Welcome back to the Build Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Alan Jaramello, and this podcast teaches you how to make fitness a lifestyle instead of a crash course while building your body. And in today's episode, it's a special one because I'm going to talk about the 4 mistakes that you need to avoid if you're looking to get toned, all right? I'm flexing for those of you watching on Spotify, all right? If you want to see the visuals, you can go on YouTube. But this episode is near and dear to my heart because it's something that I wish I had when I first started. I mean, who doesn't fucking dream of like showing up to the beach, toned, muscles popping, maybe you got a couple of veins, but not too much, and most importantly, flat stomach, right? So I'm going to talk about the biggest mistakes that I see people make, and as a coach who has worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, I see these mistakes all the time before people join my program. So I'm going to go list everyone, get super detailed with everything. And the very first one to start off is not following a lifting program. Now, you may have heard this before and chosen to ignore it, but listen, this is something that you need to start implementing if you want to see success. If you don't give a shit about your results and you're like, I'm good, I'm maintaining, 1, this podcast is not for you, and 2, you're wasting your time, all right? This is something that's crucial because not having confidence in what you do is one of the biggest things that will hurt your success in the route, in the route that you're going to be taking to get toned. And when you don't follow a program, that happens, okay? You don't follow a program. This leads to wandering around in the gym, wondering, what exercise should I do next? Should I do this movement? Should I do this movement? This person on Instagram said this. Maybe I'm going to save some workouts and do that. That is not a structured program created for you. And the problem with that is that you don't have any confidence in your own plan. So when you're not following anything, it's very easy to quit, right? And this is where I see most people get it wrong. So number 2 is actually going to be lifting heavy enough. Now, let's say you got number 1 down. You finally get a structured program from a professional, or you learn how to create your own, which is definitely possible now with all the information out there. But you got to get master number 2 now, which is not lifting heavy enough. Now, I see people in the gym all the time, right? I go to the gym about 4 to 5 times a week. And I also see my clients when they send me their form videos too. I'm able to see their rep speed, okay? If your first rep looks the same as your last rep, this is going to be a big hurdle, an obstacle for you that prevents you from building up enough muscle to look toned. Because here's the secret about being toned, okay? There is no magic diet out there that gets you toned. There's no magic workout program that gets you toned. What gets you toned is actually a phase-by-phase process, and it works like this. First, you build up enough muscle, then you cut down and preserve muscle, and then you reverse diet so that you're not starving to death while you look toned. It's a 3-step process, and we teach people to do it all the time, and they're successful with it. But before you get into that whole process, you have to understand one of the biggest pillars of getting good progress in the gym, and that's lifting heavy enough. Now, you might associate lifting heavy with a crazy deadlift or a crazy squat that's going to break your back and like you're going to fold in half and need to be like, helivaced to the nearest hospital. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. When I say lift heavy, when I say lift with proper intensity, what I really mean is your muscles actually have to go to that near failure point, which means that the reps should look slow, okay? If I'm doing, for example, a leg extension or a bicep curl, and the first rep goes up fast, and then the last rep, it's like you're barely getting it. That's good intensity. Now, I'm not recommending that you train at that level all the time, okay? There's a place and a time for it. However, it's a skill that will set you apart from so many other men out there that don't fucking know what they're doing in the gym. When you master the skill of knowing exactly how to challenge yourself in the gym, holy shit, the results become 10 times easier. And guess what? The training actually becomes way more fucking fun because while you're smashing PRs out there and the kid next to you, the guy next to you is just like, doesn't know what he's doing there. He doesn't have a purpose. He's not excited to be here. Guess what? He's going to quit in 1 month or 2 months. Okay. This is why it's super fucking important. And I'm super passionate about getting this message out there. We need to have that passion for training, not just working out. Okay. And if you don't want to make bodybuilding or lifting your life, I get you, okay? I don't make it my life either. I did one competition And I enjoyed the experience, but there's no reason why I want to put my body through that shit again. I want to actually have lifting in my life to enhance my life. I want it to like make me look good in clothes when I go out and shit. Like I love that confidence that I get from having a body that I've worked very hard to accomplish. And that's what I want for you. I want it to enhance your life, not make it your life. But if I can get you to love training, if I can get you to, really get proud of yourself when you hit PRs, I mean, come on, it's going to be a lot easier to stick with it, right? So number 3, let's say that you got the workouts down, the intensity down, but now you need the third one, which is eating enough food. Now, in our culture, we have an obesity problem. That's not a secret, okay? But diet culture convinces us that we need to eat a lot less than what we actually need to eat to lose weight. Now, if you've ever tried a diet in the past, it might have been like a smoothie diet or keto or no carb diet and all that bullshit out there. And you and I both know it doesn't work because you might have tried it in the past and you're, listening to fitness information still because you're trying to find the magic solution for you or something that you can actually stick to, okay? And that is going to come from eating enough food. Think about how most people really lose weight and gain it back. They go on a restrictive diet, they gain it back, and their metabolism still stays slower because they didn't give their body any time to acclimate up to good calories, or they didn't practice weightlifting principles to make sure that their metabolism's getting faster. It's very simple to understand, but it's not easy practice because everyone around you is telling you you're eating too much food, fear carbs, all that bullshit, okay? The only person that you should be listening to is a trusted professional that has testimonials to back it up, happy clients, and proven processes that work. Okay. And I've covered this in my recent podcast as well. Now, here's what happens when you undereat. 1, you're going to lose weight. Oh yeah. Like 20, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, whatever it is, right? But you're going to lose muscle, which doesn't get you toned. It just makes you look soft, okay? So instead of like the shredded, or not even shredded, but just more of a toned, sculpture-like physique, right? Nice and lean, flat stomach, no love handles. It's more like a melted ice cream cone, okay? And that's exactly what happens when you undereat. Your muscles will not pop. They will not preserve while you're in a fat loss phase if you're under eating. That's one of the most important things to consider when you're trying to get toned, okay? Now, it's also a chain reaction too, because when you eat enough food, you have more energy for your day-to-day. And guess what? You have more energy for PRs, okay? You got more energy for PRs, guess what? What's going to happen? You're going to be able to put on more muscle. And more muscle helps you look more toned way easier, okay? Let's get into number 4, the last one of these 4 things that you should be trying to make sure that you're not making these mistakes of if you want to get toned. Let's say that you got your training plan. You got the intensity down. Hell, you're even eating enough. Number 4, let's take it up a notch. You understand macros. Why are macros like the silver bullet or like the kryptonite bullet that's going to like put Superman down? Why is that, right? The reason why macros are so effective, and they're effective for all the clients in our program, they're effective for millions of people all over the United States, is because macros are very specific, okay? And the reason why they work so well is because if you learn the approach, you have freedom, you have flexibility. They're socially friendly. And what I mean by that is that if you go out and grab a drink, if you go out to a restaurant, like macros allows you to make better decisions in those situations, and it allows you to see results even when you have a busy or hectic life. Meal plans don't fucking work anymore. Keto doesn't fucking work anymore. Like no sugar diets, like people can barely stick with them. And that's why macros works very well, because guess what? If you're on macros, you can choose to eat clean all the time. 100%. You can just eat clean and just hit macros, right? But what happens when shit hits the fan? What happens when you got to go pick up your son at work after work? What happens when you got a baseball game on the weekends? What happens when you travel? What happens when you get invited to a dinner that you're not going to say no to because I'm on a diet? Like, that's the stupidest fucking thing ever, to say no to a dinner because you're on a diet, right? It's super restrictive. What happens in those situations? Guess what? The plan goes out the fucking window. And that's why people lose weight and gain it back really fast. But if we understand macros and you just understand it really good the first time you do it, you'll be able to make way better decisions, and you'll be able to actually change your muscle to fat ratio. And I'll give you an example. If I take a client from 220 pounds down to 200 pounds and I just tell them, hey, just track your calories, don't worry about protein. If you want to fill your calories with guacamole or whatever, that's totally fine. Guess what? The client is not going to build up enough muscle. And they can definitely get down to 200 pounds, but they're going to have that melted ice cream look. They're going to be losing muscle throughout the process. And that's because we need a certain amount of protein during a fat loss phase to help preserve muscle tissue. So if I take another client from 220 to 200 and I have very specific macros for him, I give him enough protein to preserve muscle and recover from his workouts. I give him enough carbs so that he is in a calorie deficit, but he's still able to perform during his workouts and he's able to have enough energy throughout the day. That's one thing, right? And then if I give him enough fats to make sure that his hormones stay level, like testosterone, remember that? That's an important one. If I give them enough macros and they're very specific, they can really help get this person to a much more toned look, toned physique. And that's exactly what we do inside of our program. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. It's near and dear to my heart because I wish I had it when I first started. We appreciate all of you guys listening in. I appreciate it. What do you mean we? It's just me. I edit all these videos myself. I edit the podcast myself. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and supporting. If you find this podcast super helpful, it would mean the fucking world to me if you could share it on your Instagram, share it on wherever. And I'm just trying to get the word out because our mission behind building the Built Bodies Pram is a lot bigger than myself. And it's to help 100,000 men transform their bodies and most importantly, avoid all of the pitfalls along the way. So if you're in the need for coaching and you are looking to improve your confidence, you're looking to be that guy that takes his shirt off at the pool and people are just like, oh shit, hot damn, or even you want to be the guy that you just feel comfortable in your clothes. You know, when I was a kid, I barely wore white t-shirts, all right? You know why? Because white t-shirts, you look the biggest in, okay? You look the fattest in. And white t-shirts is something that I never, ever felt comfortable wearing because I was like, oh shit, like you're going to see like my man boobs like through the shirt or whatever, and that's uncomfortable, right? Like imagine that, a world where you didn't have to worry about that, right? If you're looking for that, we are the team to help you change your life and change your body through our transformation program called Shortcut to Shreds. So if you're interested in that, you can click the link down below, either in the YouTube video or the show notes on Spotify, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.